Well, I think some angry commenters. Oh, yours truly, an apology. Here we go, boys. PC Gamer writes Activision Blizzard lawsuits in chaos as federal agency accuses California's DFEH of ethics violations. Now, there's a lot to go over in this, and obviously PC Gamer, being woke as fuck, has their take on it. But we're going to go through what PC Gamer said, maybe take a look at some of the filings, and just bask in the fact that I was fucking right from the beginning. And though my video got ratioed and then subtly removed from this platform, what I said in that video was correct, and this proves it. This was a power grab by two particular attorneys who will stick their finger in any pie that they can get a piece of to create a stir, engage in activism, and oh yes, enrich themselves along the way. They have been involved in Harvey Weinstein suits. They've been involved in the Marilyn Manson suits. They've been involved in all kinds of Me Too allegations, some of which proven fruitful, some of which haven't. But they're always there, and they're writing up these things. And then they were right front and center writing the briefs for allegedly what I was told was the state of California. And everybody told me, it can't possibly be wrong what they're saying. None of it could be shaded by anything because it's the government, and the government is never wrong. The government never has any lies. No one in the government would ever lie or have a personal interest in anything or an ethics violation or any type of corruption or a fraudulent election. Never mind. I'm not going to go down that route. Anyway, Activision Blizzard is currently facing a lawsuit in the state of California brought by the Department of Employment and Housing. The suit alleges that Activision Blizzard is a company rife with discrimination, sexual harassment, and frat boy culture, which, by the way, the first two are crimes. What is the third one? Is frat boy culture a crime? Is that a crime? So I can make a company and have a frat boy culture? That would be illegal? Is that what you're trying to tell me? I'd like to see that argued in front of a fucking jury. And what does that even entail? But that's besides the point. Claims that Activision Blizzard deny. CEO Bobby Kotick says people will be held responsible for their actions. And around a fortnight ago, we discovered Activision Blizzard had also been in talks about a separate lawsuit being brought by the Equal Employment Opportunity Commissions and had agreed to settle for $18 million. Now you might say, oh, well, if your stance, Max, is that they didn't really do anything wrong, that's, first of all, my stance is that I think the inappropriate behavior has occurred at Blizzard HQ over the years, but that the lawsuit itself was a politically motivated hit piece designed to do exactly what it has already accomplished. And so the fact that it's falling apart is kind of fucking pointless, but at least it gives me validation for what I was saying in my first video when I read through the fucking lawsuit instead of just, reading articles about it. I read through the fucking lawsuit, and apparently that was too much for YouTube and the little commenters with their fucking hurt fifis that say, oh no, the government, Max, the government could never do anything wrong, to the guy with the fucking Gadsden flags behind him. Okay, no step on snack. Anyway, the DFEH last week filed an objection to this settlement. So the Federal Equal Employment Opportunity Commission had taken a lawsuit and said, look, Blizz, it does seem to us that maybe you had some untoward behavior going on, and so we're going to basically fine you for it. And Blizz is like, all right, well, we've already fired a lot of those people, and we've already been hit with massively bad PR. So we'll settle, and what's a fair amount to settle with? And they settle on $18 million, and then they're done. But the DFEH, the original filers from the state of California, filed an objection to the settlement, arguing that it would lead to the effective destruction of evidence critical to its case and cause irreparable harm to its own lawsuit. One important fact, the DFEH is a State Department of California, whereas the EEOC is a U.S. federal agency. The DFEH's objection reads, in part, the proposed consent decree also contains provisions sanctioning the effective destruction and or tampering of evidence critical to the DFEH's case, such as personnel files and other documents referencing sexual harassment, retaliation, and discrimination. I doubt that they're like, the federal government is conspiring with Blizzard and writing in a publicly available settlement to a case. We can agree to tamper the evidence. That's ludicrous. Of course, this is coming from activists, and we'll get to the reason why these activists in particular are important, but I want to highlight this, that they have settled the case with the federal government. The Activision Blizzard does not have to do anything outside of the terms of this agreement, and a judge can rule on this, and so that's why they're filing the thing. But then there was a little bit of a snag. Following this, the EEOC quickly responded with a memorandum of points opposing the DFEH's appeal that contained one pretty legally stunning revelation that leaves the case looking like it's going to become an enormous mess. The long and the short of it is that DFEH's case has been led by two lawyers who previously worked for the EEOC, and while working for the EEOC, they investigated Activision Blizzard in relation to claims that have led to the settlement that they are now objecting to. So, let me just rewind and speak not woke and not legalese to the people out there. What's going on here? What's going on here is that these two lawyers that are wrapped up in all the Me Too stuff, like I mentioned at the top, these two women worked for the EEOC investigating Blizzard on this exact case, left the EEOC for some reason at some point, and then immediately filed with the state of California. What does that sound like? That sounds like an internal power play within our own fucking government. You know, the same government that the commenters on my last video on this subject referred to me that could never make a mistake or be wrong or be immoral or anything like that. Here we have a perfect example of it. So what did they do? They got told by the EEOC, I'm sure, that their claims weren't particularly fucking compelling because what was going on is maybe an untoward joke here and there over a 30-year history of a company, and maybe one guy got too handsy at the company party. Right? That's really what we're talking about here, and that happens in almost every business place in America. It's called responsibility for your own person. The people who do these things should be held responsible for being inappropriate in the workplace. But that doesn't mean the company itself is a culture of rape or whatever the fuck you want to. Anyhow, what's happening now is that the EEOC is now basically filing for, this is a breach of professional ethics, and a violation of California law on the conduct of the attorneys, per the memorandum. So, this is gonna get fucking nasty. And it already was nasty. You see, I said they left the EEOC because the EEOC wasn't taking their claims as seriously as they wanted. And then they found a state agency who was willing to do it, who had enough woke people on board that would play this game. And then they immediately didn't wait for court dates or anything like that. They immediately went to the press and called Blizzard a bunch of harassers. And so now you have even some of the biggest Blizzard fanboys of all times repeating that talking point, which has not been proven in a court of law, mind you, and is absolutely slander and libel. Just want to point that out. If you're accusing people like Bobby Kotick of things, you better be damn sure that they fucking did it, because you are literally breaking, slander laws. Regardless, if there are people there that did break the law, or even break workplace regulations, workplace rules, by all means, treat them appropriately. But, they wanted to stir up this hornet's nest against Activision Blizzard because Activision Blizzard, and this is the real reason that this is all going on, has brought in people who worked for the Trump administration into their CEO positions shortly before this happened. This is all political. This is political fucking theater. This has nothing to do with it. They have activists on the ground who have been protesting for literally a year before all this happened. They were having walkouts and, we don't get paid enough and we don't get this and we need a union and all this fucking shit. These are left-wing rabble-rousers in the company who are in a power struggle with management who are essentially right-wing or center-right. That's what's going on. It has nothing to do with sexual harassment. It has nothing to do with women's safety in the workplace. It has nothing to do with equality of pay. It has nothing to do with any of that. It has to do with the agenda of these two attorneys. It has to do with the agenda of these woke left-wing activists. It has to do with all of that. And that's where we're at. Specifically, this is a quote, mind you, specifically two DFEH attorneys who play lead. That is such a terrible acronym, by the way. DFEH. It's hard to say in any way, as the letters that it is, but it's also hard to say as like an acronym. So DFE? I'm going to call them DFE from now on. Specifically two DFE attorneys who play leadership roles within the organization previously served as EEOC, who helped to direct the EEOC's investigation into Commissioner's Charge number 480-2018-05212 against Activision Blizzard Inc. These same attorneys then proceeded to represent DFE in connection with these intervention proceedings, which seek to oppose the consent decree that arose out of the very investigation they helped to direct while at the EEOC. Now, if you create an investigation for a government entity and that turns fruit and ends up in a lawsuit that comes out and settled, but before it comes out, you leave that federal investigation committee, you leave that group, that federal power bureau, and go to a state one and file a way more incendiary and poorly written, mind you, lawsuit about the same thing and then get it in all the papers. That to me doesn't sound like you care much about the investigation itself. That to me sounds like you don't like the way that the EEOC is going to carry through on it, and so you had to fucking raise hell in the middle of it. That's what it sounds like. This is a breach of California rule of professional conduct, and the EEOC claims it applies to all of the DFE attorneys on the case. Making matters worse is that DFE seems to have belatedly realized this itself and tried to fudge its way out in some unconvincing ways. The EEOC, because they were so woke, they were like, yeah, we're going to get them. We're going to get this. We're going to get Bobby K, guys. We're going to fucking stick it to these big evil millionaires. Eat the rich. Yeah, that's what it was. Let's not mince words. That's exactly what's going on here. After being informed of this conflict, DFE retained new counsel, but appears to have filed the present intervention motion just hours after this counsel was retained, strongly suggesting that the motion is a product of the prohibited representation. For this reason, the intervention motion should be disallowed, and DFE attorneys should be barred from providing work product to or advising new counsel in connection with these intervention proceedings. Get fucking wrecked, dude. You're dealing with the feds. And this goes on, and you see these are the people I'm talking about. Nerf male privilege. Fight the bad guys in game. Fight bad guys. Real women's voices matter. These are activists. These are activists that invited this fucking shit in. I can't trust anything they say. They have a fucking agenda. How do you get to objective facts when one of the sides has a clear and specific agenda? And since a bunch of left-wingers came onto my last video, let me explain it like this. What if left-wingers, the Supreme Court was deciding a decision, completely unrelated to anything. The Supreme Court's deciding a decision on a case involving, I don't know, maybe like Texas passed a law that the Supreme Court was deciding on that like left-wingers maybe wouldn't like. Maybe something like that was happening. Would you say then that the government doesn't make mistakes and that the government can't be wrong? I mean, the government of Texas passed a law, and the Supreme Court, I mean, just because they lean right-wing doesn't mean that they're going to come to a right-wing conclusion, right? I mean, obviously, that's subjective. So, that's where we're at. There's more to it. The PC gamer copes and tries to basically say that it's fine, I don't think it's fine. I think that this is an even bigger power struggle. At first, I said it was a power struggle between like woke and unwoke entities at Activision Blizzard. Now it's become a power struggle between the state of California and the federal government. The federal government, by the way, that's run by the left right now. So I guess it's just like, hardcore commie versus like mid-core commie, It's like the fire sauce versus the hot sauce. I don't know. I just know that this is a clusterfuck, and fuck you all, because I was right all along, and I remain right. And if this video gets taken down too, so be it. Everything fucking... That's how it is, right? You have an opinion that goes against the mainstream, heaven fucking forbid. But I'm going to keep fucking saying my piece, because fuck everybody but me.